Hey guys, it's Jenny Wolek with the Wolek Group, Keller Williams Realty in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Super honored and excited to be back with you with a new Agent Success Secrets. And this time I have a new friend, Tommy Choi from Chicago. So happy that you are sharing your valuable time with me and all these amazing real estate agents across the world that want to learn from you. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I've been looking forward to this, so I'm excited.
Well, let's dive in and get going, and I'll let you start your story with who you are, how you got in this business, and really the big rocks of things that you're working on right now in your life and your business.
Yeah, so I'm a lifelong Chicagoan on the north side. I'm actually a first generation in this country and Chicago. My parents immigrated from South Korea in the 70s. I've been in the business for about 12 years now with my business partner, Josh Weinberg, whom we've been college friends. We actually met in college. And so that's how our friendship and story began. And, since that time of us starting our real estate team, we're top 1% in Chicago, top 15 agent team in the city out of 16,000 agents, and it's been a fun ride. We're a team of 10, 5 admin, 5 salespeople. Last year we ended at roughly about 150 units and 75 million in sales, $2 million in GCI. We're just continuing to keep going.
Wow, that is awesome. You have and carry with you this energy that is electric.
Thank you. Love it.
We got to meet in Atlanta as I was heading out and you were coming in to share with our friends, the Peters market centers there. And in our tiny bit of time together, I got so much out of you and from you. And let's just dive into, well, first off, your story of how you even got to Keller Williams is a great one. And really the whole thing about you and your leadership in the realtor associations as well.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, my KW journey is interesting. It all started with a phone call from one of our mutual friends, Joe Zimmerman, Joey Zaza. Josh and I, we were very unique in the sense that day one, we started our own brokerage. We beat the time frame when the state of Illinois changed their license law. You can't do that now, but we did that, and really it was an umbrella for our team to sell under. And so during that time, we've always had other brokerages reach out to have us come over, buy us out, all that fun stuff. But then Joe, he called me, and we've been friends since we've been top agents in the city. And he said something that really struck a chord in me. He said, like, hey, I have an opportunity I want to talk to you about. And that word opportunity is such a strong word. And it's hard for someone like me, how I'm wired, to turn down to listening to what that was. And we took that meeting, and he's just like, hey, I want to launch a Keller Williams market center in downtown Chicago, and there isn't one. So, I think you should be on board and we should do this together. And so, I really didn't understand, nor did Josh, what that meant, right? I knew what Keller Williams was as a company, as a brand, but, there's a lot of businesses in Chicago, right? In-N-Out Burger's not in Chicago. I would love for that to be in Chicago, believe me. But so what? Burgers still survive, right? So as our conversations continued, what we realized is we really need to define what that meant, that absence of Keller Williams in the Chicago marketplace. And so I literally called my friends, whom I established relationships with, that were servant leaders, that we served on committees with the National Association of Realtors. And it just so happened at that time that I started noticing, oh, wow, all of them are part of KW. That's interesting. So I started making phone calls, and it would be like, hey, I want to come out, visit you. I got a question. I'm thinking about joining and launching a KW Market Center. I just don't know what that means, and love to come out. And it was funny because the common conversation was, love for you to come here. I'd love to see you. We can knock this out in a phone call. But for me, I told them that it's very important that I need to see your physical reaction to this, because that's going to help me define what this really means. And so did that. It was a gentleman, one of my brothers. His name's Craig Wilburn. He's a #1 agent in Gainesville, Florida. Do you know Craig?
Yes.
Craig is the man. I love him.
That's awesome.
We met actually in DC because we were both in town, and we had brunch or breakfast at an awesome place called Founding Farmers. I still remember it because that was the lunch that changed me. And I remember asking him and telling him this whole thing, and his jaw just dropped to the ground. And he was just like, wait, what are you talking about? There's no Keller Williams in Chicago. I'm like, no, there's not. There used to be, but then they sold out, and it's not there anymore. And his jaw was on the ground. He was just like, if you don't do this, I will move to Chicago and do this. And he looked me in the eye and said, this is going to change your family's life. This is going to change your team's life. You got to do this. And that was the breakfast. I left. In my head, I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. I remember calling Josh and saying like, hey, Craig said we should do this, so let's do it. And the rest is history. We just found out last week that last year, so we launched in 2017, but our first transmittal was like April or May. So last year, 2018, was our full first year. And we just found out we were the #1 successful launching KW Market Center since 2003. So that was awesome to hear that. So all of that from all these lunches, and Craig is someone that I hold near and dear to my heart, and that was the big aha breakfast where it just kind of hit me. I'm like, you know what, this is it. This is what I needed to hear.
That's an awesome story. And it's not meant to be so all about Keller Williams. I just think that I wanted to share that you are a really big thinker. You definitely an opportunity seeker, and you saw a great opportunity. So how would you say it's changed your business and your team?
The best way I can equate it is, it's like if I wanted to learn how to run better, okay, and you've seen me, clearly I'm not a runner. This temple is built for, deep dish pizza and Italian beef. But if I were to, it's like I could Google search how to run, and I could watch YouTube videos, I could read articles or whatnot, and that's great. And eventually, sometime in the future, I will probably learn how to run better and faster and stronger. What I equate being a part of this KW family is I just bypass the reading and the videos. And it's like I flew to Jamaica and I'm running with Usain Bolt. I'm running with the best, and I'm not keeping up in the moment. But then when I come back after my trainings, I'm like, holy crap, did I really just run that quickly? Did I really run that long of a distance? I'm not tired. It's like being around, something I always say is, if I could go back and tell day one real estate me, it would be 100%. You have to be so intentional and so purposeful on who you choose to surround yourself with, because those people, if they're not pushing you to raise your standards and challenging you to be the best, you have to find new people. And that's what you don't know what you don't know. And when I plugged into this on a local level and a national level, I was just like, wow, okay, now I'm running with, the Usain Bolts of the world, and I'm becoming better naturally from it. And then that was the big, holy crap, this is awesome. That's where it's impacted me so much.
Well, what I also love about you is your giving back, whether it's to your local board and now on the national level. So share with us, your commitment and giving back when it comes to that? And why is that important to you?
That's a great question. So currently, on a local level, I serve as the 135th president of the Chicago Association of Realtors, and also in doing so, I'm the first Korean American president in 135 years, which is super awesome, especially to honor like my parents and grandparents who trekked here, you know, to show them that, hey, let me be your evidence of success. All that you did, that risk taking, it paid off. And then on the national level, I'm the chairperson for the NAR's YPN, which is a huge group of people. And the YPN is something that I'm just so grateful for, because they were a huge piece locally and nationally for helping me continue to grow these last 12 years. But why I do this, you know, it goes back to a big reason why real estate was the path that I chose. You know, I mentioned that I'm first generation here. My grandfather, you know, he immigrated here, you know, with my dad in the 70s, the north side of the city, just 2 blocks north of Wrigley Field. And my grandpa in general, right, he came for opportunity, obviously, but a huge piece of that opportunity for him was to one day own his own home. And it's not from a practical standpoint of just having a roof over his head. It was 1,000% solely pride. He wanted to be able to put this flag in the ground and say, this piece of Chicago, this piece of America is his because he worked hard to achieve it. And so as a young kid, it was so weird because he would always make it a point to remind me, because I was born here, that home ownership was not a right and was not guaranteed, and that it's a privilege and you have to work very hard to achieve it. And once you achieve it, you have to work even harder to maintain it. That's always stuck in me, because that's a weird thing to hear when you're a little kid. And it resonated deep. And when I was at this crossroads and what I need to do with my career, it just always rung. And I knew that was the direction I wanted to go. And so as I started to see success the last 12 years, you know, I'm a person, as you know, that just, I see everything through the lens of gratitude. And so part of that, you know, we're in one of the few industries I know of where within 12 months, you could double or triple your income, right? And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And part of that responsibility for me is to be a servant leader, give back to this industry that's been so good to me and my family, and a big reason why my grandfather came here, and protect that, right? And that goes on from a government advocacy standpoint, making sure private property rights, our industry is always protected. And then it's also making sure that I have a foot in the door and able to hold that door open for me 12 years ago, whoever that is today, that wants the piece of this industry and wants to see these kinds of opportunities, that's still there for them. And so that truly drives me as I continue to grow our business, to even double down and give back to the industry and to our community to make sure that that's protected for other people. You know, because like I said, bottom line, I'm just super grateful to be in that position.
You wear your big Y on your sleeve, on your face, all over you. From knowing what you love and why you love doing this is your passion. It's been ingrained in you. You see the value of home ownership. So what a great story to share with buyers and sellers. So has that helped you through your real estate career? Are you always speaking this way to them?
Yeah, 1,000%. That's such a great question, because every listing appointment I go on, when I'm sitting at their kitchen table, I make it a point to share that, especially because the question always comes up 9 out of 10 times. So why should I be working with you? And for me, you know, I'm always one that can only sell on my strengths. I'm never going to talk down anyone or throw anyone under the bus or any different business model that's out there, because that doesn't really showcase me. And so for me, that story and sharing with them, well, let me tell you why I'm in this industry, and that you are not a unit or a transaction. You know, you are, there's a little piece of my grandfather that's in you that I want to do I want to protect and show you your return on your investment so you can close this chapter and start your next one. And so, you know, that has resonated very deeply with my clients because they understand when I talk, it's one thing to say, I'm going to look out for your best interest. And then it's another thing to convey why I'm going to look out for your best interest. And they understand it, and it acts as a conduit to really knowing why I'm here in front of you and why we have this evidence of success at a high level. And so it 100% connects those dots and has helped me, you know, continue to grow and show success in this industry.
And you won't get burned out when you have such a big purpose.
No, absolutely not. You know, it's the one thing I've learned, and someone shared this too, and it completely connected. Maybe it was Mega Camp or Family Reunion, but, you know, there's really 3 causes to burnout. And it's either, one, there's no drive or passion, right? There's no big why, or you don't know what the big why is. That's obviously going to always, you know, lead you to burnout. 2 is like energy, physical and mental health. You know, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not taking care of your body, if you're having drug or alcohol abuse, the energy's not there, you're going to burn out of whatever industry you're in. And the 3rd piece is not focusing on your 20%. When you have other things kind of blocking you and getting in your way of that, you're annoyed, and it leads to burnout. And so that piece, that you nailed it, the passion and why I'm in this industry, I make sure that everybody around me understands that, and they know that's what's driving this. Those are the logs I keep putting on my fire, and to continue to produce at a very high level.
Well, let's carry the same passion into something you shared with me about your girls. You are a dad and have 3 beautiful girls.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you gave me goosebumps, and maybe I even teared up in you sharing what your legacy is for them and what you want them to get from you.
Yeah. Legacy is something that, you know, that's actually our team's mission, is to support our client, our team, our friends and family's legacy through providing the perfect transaction. And so legacy, the definition of legacy for me is that my kids, and I have 3 daughters, 6, 4, and 1, Henley, Momo, and Mare. Legacy is them never having to introduce themselves to anyone, right? People knowing who they are instantly when they walk into a room. And it's not from a standpoint of because of, you know, dollars in a bank account. It's not because of any sort of social status, but really because, you know, hey, I know your dad. He made an impact on me. He helped me out this way. And he always talked about you, or talks about you. I'm here for you, right? I want to create this tribe, this community around them, so they are always going to be set up for success. So that's, you know, a big reason of my drive and working hard is fulfilling that legacy, is so that I've made such an impact on people's lives that, you know, my girls, everyone knows who they are, and they're always going to be, you know, looking out for them, whether I'm here or not.
Well, it touched me again. So thank you for sharing that. I think in this crazy industry, we can get really distracted from what's most important. And at the end of the day, it's family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 100% family.
Well, now let's talk about your shoe addiction.
So in Chicago, you can't, this is how you sniff a true Chicagoan or not. Is in Chicago, we call them gym shoes. So people that say sneakers or kicks, so you know the real trendy words. Now, if you hear someone say gym shoes, you know that, oh, that's a Chicago guy. So yeah, my unhealthy gym shoe collection.
Well,
obsession.
Even though, I mean, I think that the story, seriously, we talked for 15 minutes. I feel like I know every bit of you. And the shoe thing is clearly a thing. You know it is. Just admit it. And a story you told about the shoes, I maybe just listened in on this boy conversation. there's some background behind.
Yeah, there is.
Passion.
There is. So my favorite shoe ever is the Jordan 6s. Okay, and this is 6th shoe that in the Jordan line, and it's these white. The colorway they call it the white infrared. And it was right around 1991, 92, I want to say. And I was probably 10 years old, 6th grade. And that was a really memorable year for a Chicago basketball fan, because that was the year the Bulls won their first of that 6th championship run. And most importantly, it was, Michael Jordan dethroning the Lakers and Magic Johnson and that whole squad. So that shoe was iconic when they came out. I was just like, wow, that is a shoe. And all my friends were getting them. And I was just like having that FOMO. I'm like, I need this pair. This is life. And I remember asking my parents every day, can you please get me the 6s? Can you get me the 6s, the infrareds, the whites? And finally, my dad once asked me, like, how much are they? And I'm like, okay, great, I'm getting somewhere, right? Now that's the next question in the process, good. And I remember saying $125, which is nuts, because Jordans are now like 150, 175. So it hasn't changed that much. And back then, you can only imagine how much that money really was. And I remember my dad, he didn't say no, but he gave me that look that an immigrant dad gives, where don't ever ask that question again. And my dad said, $125, do you know how much money that is? And I'm just kind of like, that's a lot. And he goes, that's 1 month of groceries for our family. And that was end of conversation, right? And I'm like, okay, I know that look. That's a no. Fast forward, that Christmas, I had one present under our, artificial Douglas fir tree, and it was in the shape of a shoebox. And I'm kind of like, interesting. I know this can only be one thing. Rip open the top of the gift wrapping, and it was the black Nike Jumpman box, and that's the iconic Jordans come in a black top box. And I opened it up, put the tissue paper aside, and it was the white infrared Jordan 6s. And I remember picking this up. It was like, it's like in Raiders of the Lost Ark when Indiana Jones picks the chalice and he's like holding and looking at it. It was like me looking at this shoe. I'm like, I can't believe I'm physically holding a pair in my house. And I had this vividly remember, I was kneeling and I had this self-reflection moment. I remember my dad telling me this was 1 month's worth of groceries I was holding in my hand. So I put it back in the box, closed the tissue paper, closed the box, and I slid it right back to my parents. And I looked my dad in the eye and I told him, like, you know what, return it. Like, thank you, but return it. And he was just like, you asked for these for so long and so many months. And I told him, like, you told me that was 1 month of groceries. And I know how hard you and mom both work. And I don't need these shoes. And I remember my dad, he didn't really acknowledge that, but he looked me in the eye. And I remember him saying, okay, once he goes back to the store, there's no changing your mind. And I remember looking at him saying, like, I understand. And I went up to my room, closed my door, and I was just bawling. I was so pissed off. I was so sad. I couldn't believe I did that. But at that moment, I remember making a deal with myself. And I told myself, this feeling sucks. And I want to work hard. And no matter what I do when I grow up, I'm going to make sure I work hard enough that I never have to make a decision between a pair of shoes or food or groceries. And that's what drove me. And so, 97 pairs later, it's a constant reminder for me that, you know what, if I like a pair of shoes, I'm just going to buy it because that's what I've made myself, I made a deal with my 10-year-old self. And they're little trophies for me, and a reminder of, what my parents sacrificed, what my grandparents sacrificed to set myself up to be able to do this, And so I have really, really weird rules about the shoes, and some pairs I have never even worn, but it's one of those things where I can look at that and say, you know what, this is why it worked to achieve a little piece of joy for me.
And they have their own space in your home.
They have their own space in my home. Although, we just watched, my wife and I, we watched that Marie Kondo.
Yeah, I saw. I was going to ask.
Tidying up. And so.
Did any get donated?
Yeah, 2 pairs. So that's a lot. But,
I thought about you.
You know what? My wife, though, she is truly, I am not in any position I am today without her support. And so she gets it, and so she's super supportive of it. But, she also puts me in check and will say, you've never even worn these. You don't even know you have these. Give these away. Yeah. Bring joy to other people.
Well, you bring so much joy to me. You spark lots of joy in so many others that you lead, that you inspire. I'm just honored to get to know you better, and I look forward to seeing you very soon in New Orleans.
Yes, I can't wait. And I'm super grateful for you and allowing me and wanting to even, to have me part of what you're building and doing. So,
wow.
Thank you.
Well, you stay very warm, especially tomorrow with Antarctica temperatures.
Yeah.
And we'll be thinking about you in the warmth here. And
love it.
Appreciate you so much, Tommy. You're the best. If you guys need,
thank you.
If you need anything from me, my number's 918-706-9845, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Bye there. See ya. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.